Welcome back to Be.Live. I'm your host, Roca Cruz. In our last episode, we talked about clarity and how to find our own voice in a noisy world. We learned that purpose becomes clearer when we listen inward instead of outward. But even when we know what we want, life doesn't always go as planned. We can be clear, committed, and courageous, but still face setbacks. Today, we talk about resilience, the decision to rise again, not because we have to be strong all the time, but because what we believe is, again, today we talk about resilience, the decision to rise again, not because we have to be strong all the time, but because what we believe in is still worth showing up for. Setbacks aren't a sign that you're failing. They're often signs that something needs to shift inside or around you. We fall, we rest, but we don't quit. You're allowed to pause, but don't forget you're also allowed to begin again. What resilient looks like is not glamorous. It's like getting out of bed when your heart is heavy, sending the application after being rejected before, or showing up for a dream that still feels far away, or choosing to forgive yourself and try again. Resilient is not loud. Like clarity whispers, resilience also whispers. It's quiet. It's the decision to keep going quietly with faith. Janelle's story. Janelle had a dream to open a wellness space. She invested everything time, money, and energy. And then the pandemic hit. She lost her space. She lost money. Her confidence was ruined. Her momentum. She almost gave up completely. But months during the pandemic, she opened a small home studio. Today, she runs virtual sessions that reach even more people than her original plan. So, what changed? She let go of how it was supposed to look and she chose to trust what was still possible. So, we need to build resilience in our lives, honor the hurt, like what Janelle did. She was disappointed. She lost everything. She felt it. She didn't fake and say God works in mysterious ways. Yes, that's true. But she mourned after the death of her business. But she rose anyway. And then you after feeling the disappointment, after mourning, you focus on the next step, not the whole mountain, but just small steps moving forward. And then you have to also rewrite your thoughts. You're not a failure. You're a learner, just like the past episodes. Failure is not the end, it's just the beginning. There are wonderful ends. Just open your life and see quiet, find clarity, rebuild something stronger. Learn from your mistakes. So let's write in our journal. What are the setbacks that you're carrying? You let's have 5 minutes of quietness and finding clarity. And then what setbacks are you carrying? What failures are you carrying that you need to rise again? What would rising again look like? Not perfectly, but honestly. And then what are the things that you need to mourn? The deaths that you're just faking your positivity or you're just smiling fakely, but you're mourning. You write it down in your journal and write down what you've learned through your failure. that made you stronger. Let's, this resilience is really hard. Takes a lot of muscle, especially when you failed really bad. Failed in your marriage, failed in your career, failed, but we need to stand up and just be strong in those small steps. Resilient isn't being untouched by pain. It's becoming more whole through it. So whatever broke your momentum, you can begin again. You are allowed to grieve, but also rise. This is not your ending, but it's your return. Thank you for tuning in to Be.Live. Until next time, keep believing, keep growing, and keep living your purpose. Next week we'll summarize our 9 episodes and try to apply it in our lives.